Sevens. That's the number tonight. The Phoenix Suns started a 7-game road trip. First stop, Dallas, Texas, against the Mavericks, led by number 77. And the Suns smacked. They want them Diamondbacks. They kicked their ass, just straight up and down. And with that win, Matthew, that makes 7 in a row for the Suns.
Jeez, this is fun. This is fun. They
You
go down.
said it. What a fun game that was, wasn't
It's
it?
fun. It's like, oh, there's no Kyrie, but I don't care. Like,
I don't
just
care.
There
was
great.
When
And
we played
Luka's
them on
smiling.
Christmas.
Yeah, I know,
On Christmas, we didn't have
what is that?
fucking Booker or Beal or one of the two.
Yeah, I got a booger on my head, I think.
You have a Devin Booker on your hat?
I have a Devin Booker on my man. I just remember Luka smiling all last game and then smiling in the first half this game, and then late second quarter it was over. So
the tide turned. So for those of you who didn't watch the game and you're watching or listening to this at a later time, and you come to the Suns jam session for your recap of what happened, you're awesome. That's pretty cool. You're not waiting around for Sports Center, or you're not going to like the Ringer NBA show. You're like, I got to hear what Void and Lissy got to say about this game. And it was an interesting tale because it was a game in which the Dallas Mavericks were insane from beyond the arc in the first quarter. They made 7 3-pointers in the first quarter. And although they were up by as much as 16 midway through the second quarter, you still, based on the recent history of the Phoenix Suns, you go, you know what? If you're beating us by even 20 points late in the game, we have the firepower to come back. So with 8:06 left in the second quarter, the Phoenix Suns were trailing Dallas 48-32. They outscored them 100-61 the rest of the way, winning 132-109, starting the road trip off right. 7-game win streak, matches the season long. And the nicer thing about this one versus the one that we saw earlier in the season with Devin Booker is the big three's all here. This is it. It's happening. It's all happening.
It's all coming together. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, Jamsters. I really just thought they're going to win this game just before the game started. That's the first time in a while I've thought that. I'm like, yeah, the Suns are going to win. I'm like, wait, what?
Like,
I actually did think that. I don't just say these things after they win. I'm like, oh, yeah, I thought they were going to win. It's like, no. I talked about it with a guy at work, and I was like, they're going to win. Katie guarding Luka sometimes. I can't wait to see it. And that's what happened. So I manifested it, I guess.
Well, thank you for manifesting it, Matthew. And thank you again to everyone who's joining us, whether it's live or it's later or it's last week or it's next Tuesday. Good for you. And thank you.
In the past.
Make sure, you never know. There's time travelers out there. They're doing their weird things. But make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you happen to be on YouTube. Support the show that way. If you want to go by Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review, which means you click 5 stars, you write a review, we'll read it right here on the pod. We haven't read one. We haven't had one in 2024, man.
It's crazy. You would think right now we would get some, right?
The Suns are streaking.
Great.
People are watching, but no one's going over to the Apple Podcast, just hitting 5 stars and saying, "Shibida hoopla, is that a tank top or a new bra?" Like, no one's saying anything. I think December 7th is the last time we had a review. So it's a good way to just tell people that you like us. And if you don't like us, don't leave us a review. Get the hell out of here, please, and thank you. So that being said, it's time to pop into this podcast. But before I do, a reminder that if you go to phoenixfits.net and use promo code SunsJam10, you get 10% off some pretty fly gear. And as per usual, this is really helping our bank accounts, man, the 7-game winning streak. Because Bits gets in the Bears in the chat.
Wow.
$25. Now, we won by 27, but it says 2 retro because they did miss a couple. I think won a couple games ago when we won just by 2. But best $25 I've ever spent. Nurk MVP, getting back at Williams from last Christmas game when Williams grabbed Booker. Yeah, there's so many great storylines here. So let's pop them if we got them, Suns fans. I know a lot of people are. It's fun to watch basketball games like this. Let's stop the show. That's right. Your Phoenix Suns go to Dallas, start their 7-game win streak off right, winning their 7th consecutive game, 132-109 against the Dallas Mavericks, which is kind of a rival. And I guess that brings me my first question.
Oi, Matty. Mate, I've got to ask.
So the NBA is doing this thing right now. It's rival week, right? Like every game that you watch has some semblance of rivalry. They have the Lakers are playing the Clippers last night, and I think the Kings and the Warriors. And the one that they put the Suns up against is the Dallas Mavericks. So that's the question I have to start off this whole hot podcast with you, Matthew, is with NBA rivalry week, are the Mavs the Suns' biggest rival at this moment in time in Suns history? Not in the totality,
Yeah,
but right now.
That's a really good question, and it was talked about at the office today. And I don't know if they are, just because the Mavericks have beaten the Suns the last 2 times in the playoffs. And I think if the Suns win this year, if they do match up this year in the postseason, then and they can win that, maybe blow them out a couple games here or there, maybe sweep them, maybe win in 5. Then yeah, I think it's a rivalry. But right now it's like one side. It's kind of like when the Cardinals thought it was a rivalry with the Cowboys, but the Cowboys always whipped that ass back in the day. But the Suns need to win some, not during the regular season and the postseason. So right now, I would say yeah, especially when you have the Booker and Luka thing going on. That's a rivalry right there. But then also when you see Luka and KD like kind of laughing and stuff like that, I kind of like to see that as well. But I like the way that Booker and Luka hate each other on the court.
Well, that's why I think that this answer right now has to be yes, is because of some of the things that you mentioned. But more importantly, there's key figures in a rivalry that make it a rivalry, right? Like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. You don't go back and go, it was the Colts and the Patriots. No, it was Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. So when you look at the characters in this, you have Devin Booker, you have Luka Dončić, you have smiling Luka laughing his ass off, beating us in the game 7, 2 years to kick us out of the playoffs. So yeah, that's always, and I know that that's going to pop up on Twitter as we whoop that ass tonight. They're going to remind us of that. And I already had somebody do that tonight. You know, they send me kind of the Booker being looked up upon by Luka, and I just reply with my fat Luka face that I have. Like, that's just kind of like, you know, that's the past.
Yeah.
But you also have the other subplot of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, former teammates with the Brooklyn Nets, who obviously late scratch tonight, no Kyrie Irving, out with a thumb issue. But you have a lot of these different layers, and that's what makes a rivalry. So are they our biggest rival? I think Denver is probably more of a bigger rival for us, and maybe that's being a little grandiose because they are the NBA champions. But a couple seasons ago, en route to the NBA Finals, we swept them. Suns in 4 guy, ruined that moment forever. And then last year, they beat us in 6 games, and we're the only team that could beat them last year in the playoffs of 2 games. So I think that, at least for me as a Suns fan, that is more of a rivalry because now they've won the chip, and that's kind of the measuring stick. But that doesn't take away from the drama that comes when you play a team like the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Dončić and all the things that entails, and the frustration that we get in watching these kind of games. Because for those of you who've listened and watched this podcast for quite some time, I've had my Luka rants in the past, and I don't know if I have the energy in me tonight to do it, but I will talk about how unbelievably unentertaining Luka Dončić is to watch play basketball, to see how he whines and bitches and moans. You know, he pushes off a Kogi on one play while then pushing off of Nurk, misses the layup, cries and holds the ball and is complaining. He's complaining at the end of the half because he twisted his ankle, so the refs are responsible for it. He talks to the officials more than he talks to his own teammates, Matthew. They need to get a room together, like him and the refs. And I think that this is a great question from Blaze Megatron in the chat. He goes, legit question. Do the refs hate the Mavs more than us? Is Luka that much of a bitch?
Well, it's funny because remember the interview you had with Rex Chapman on Brightside Night? He brought up, he's like, Luka reminds him of Larry Bird, but also he's behind when it comes to the refs.
Yes.
He said Booker was that way, and we remember that. If Book was doing what Luka was doing tonight, where he's complaining at the end of the half, twisting his ankle and all that, and then, you know, just blaming it on them. And it's like, no, you're going to lose the game because you're wasting so much energy on the floor paying attention to the refs. That's one thing that Booker does not do. Yeah, he might wave his arms around once in a while, but he moves up and down the court with the refs, still plays defense. Luka doesn't do that, and it drives his fans crazy because every time I think about this Mavericks team and Luka, I'm like, how have they not won a championship or been to the finals? You know what I mean? Just because of how great of a player he is or could be. That's the most frustrating part, right? We had that with Ayton. We had that. It's like, this guy's so frustrating, but he was not as good as what Luka was, obviously. But there's just that frustration of like, are you going to try your hardest? Are you going to give it every night? And he does, but there's just different levels to his game because he is a superstar that he needs to figure out to go to that next level to win a championship with this team. And it's like, okay, well, who can they surround him with, right? They got Kyrie. I don't think it matters. I think that guy can win a title on his own. He's that good, like a Jokic, if he can figure that out. So the rest can't stand him right now, man. Like they absolutely can't. I think last year Booker and the rest had a thing going on, but I don't see that too much this year. Like it's not as bad as it used to be. So he definitely figured that out, but Luka needs to figure that shit out.
Yeah, and Jamsters, I don't want to start the podcast just talking about how much I hate Luka Dončić, but that's what I'm going to do because there's so much positive stuff, and I wanted to get some of the negative stuff out of the way. But that's a lot of what you say is valid, and it's again unentertaining to watch. And I'm glad that you brought up the Rex Chapman interview because that was a big part of the interview. We were talking about modern NBA players and players in the past, and it was really a fun conversation that we had with Sexy Rexy. And yeah, he said the one thing that he needs to master is how he responds to officiating. And you saw it all night, the way that he's just walking up and down the court, talking to like he should be guarding a Kogi. Now, granted, you don't really need to guard a Kogi on offense, so I guess I can give him a pass on that. But at the same time, like he should be doing that. And I just couldn't imagine, like we do watch Devin Booker night in and night out. Devin Booker does have a reputation outside of the Phoenix fan base as a whiner because of the way that he responds sometimes to officials. But I feel like he still stays engaged on the defensive end. And I feel a lot of that is from his time with Chris Paul. Because pre-Chris Paul, Devin Booker would whine and he would have lapses on defense. And it would drive us crazy. Think back 5 years ago, Suns fans. Devin Booker, fourth-year player, scoring a bunch, not getting some calls, complaining. We're like, dude, just get back on D, man. Like, it sucks that you don't get the calls. We're frustrated with you that you don't get the calls. But get back on D. Chris Paul, in the duration that he was here with Devin Booker, really assisted him and provided him guidance on how to manage himself and manage the officials. So I feel like that is a factor. I also feel that the other factor is there's enough heavy lifting offensively around him this year that Devin Booker isn't relied on to do as much scoring as he needs to do. So he's not attempting as much, therefore not putting himself in situations where he draws the fouls.
Yeah, it's true. And I think even I brought up Jokic, and I think Jokic is kind of the same way with the rest at time. But the thing is with Jokic, he gets thrown out so quickly. Like he will say the littlest thing, raise his arm. He's like not even above his head.
It'll be in like Serbian, and like the official doesn't know what he's saying. So
yeah,
he's like, I guess he's gone.
It has to be a bad word in Serbian. He has like a little dictionary or in his phone pulled out. He's like, we got to know what this guy's saying.
Google Translate.
But dude, like, so Luka, yeah, it's frustrating, but obviously as a Suns fan, you love it because you love to take him out of his game. But if you just watch the game of basketball and you just want like, hey, if you want these guys to be great and continue to be great in the NBA and lead by example in a way, that's where it kind of frustrates me. But obviously right now it's like, yeah, if you can frustrate Luka, if you can double team him and he has no one else cutting or he can't find anybody, then yeah, that's great to take him out of his game.
And take him out of his game. I guess we did. He ended up scoring over 30 points. I know because I had a parlay tonight with Luka Dončić to score over 30 points, with Devin Booker to score over 30 points. Cool. Luka ended with 34 points, with 9 assists, with 8 rebounds, 8 of 12 from the free throw line, 4 of 11 from deep, 11 of 24 from the field. And he walked away with the Suns' loss. A big part of that is because of one Devin Booker. Big Dick Booker. All right, before I get into all of these stats, because Devin Booker had some fantastic stats tonight, I do want to give a shout out to one of the super chats on YouTube, Jamming on the Suns, $12.70. Says lots of good Suns pods out there, but this one is the best. Speaking of the best, Suns tied for the best road record in the NBA right now at 12-7, thus the 1270. Thank you for that, Jamming on the Suns. Thank you for your support, and thank you for that nice statistic. I did not know that. I knew the Suns were good on the road. I didn't realize they were the best in the league now on the road. That might be something that I have to write about on brightsideofthesun.com. Check it out. Devin Booker tonight. Oh, my Lanta. Goes out to 46 points from Devin Booker in this game. 46. And here's what I love. You know me and my efficiency numbers, Matthew. 17 of 23 from the field. 23 points for 46, or 23 shot attempts for 46 points. He was 6 of 10 from beyond the arc, which ties a career high relative to made three-pointers. 7 rebounds, only 3 assists, 2 steals, 6 of 8 from the free throw line. And it was that third quarter that he was just absolutely unstoppable, unbeatable. He comes out in the third quarter. The Suns, who ended up outscoring the Mavericks 43-20. If you didn't watch the game, just absorb that and think of what that must have been like for us to watch, who did watch the game. 43-20 in the third quarter. Devin Booker outscores the Mavericks by himself, 22 points on 9 of 11 shooting. We will never forget. Matthew, Devin Booker tonight. Let's go.
Dude, okay. And even Sarah Tran says, nice to see Big Dick. Been a bit since we've seen Mr. Book.
It's been what?
If you look back,
4 games. He had a 40 piece like 4 games ago.
52, then 26, then 16. I know. I understand. We're used to just Book back in the day, just being the man, right? But then you have Beal and you have Kevin Durant, who's Kevin Durant. You got to let him score his 40 points 2 games in a row.
I love Kevin Durant.
Then Book's back. Like I wrote in my notes with 3 in the third quarter with like about 5 minutes left. I'm like, oh, he's up to 29. And then all of a sudden, 2 minutes left. Like I just wrote that saying like, oh, he probably won't score anymore, right? They have the 20, 25 point lead. I'm like, other guys will get involved. But no, it went up to 39 points. And then just continued after that. But I was just blown away by his play tonight. But mostly just 16 in the first half, dude. Like it doesn't seem like much, but the way that the Suns' big three were playing, other than Book, it was kind of hard to watch, man. Like Beal wasn't as aggressive. KD didn't really have it going, which is fine. He scored 42 games in a row. But Booker just managed to get through that first half, right? I mean, they were only down by 1 at halftime, but he managed to get through the half, scoring 16. No one else was really helping him out. It was just a struggle, but he was efficient too. And like he slowed the game down. The defense picked up towards the end of the second, and he was able to get to the free throw line. So he's just so patient, man. Like he's so patient, and he lets everyone have theirs. And he's like, oh, let me just go grab 10 points. Let me go grab a quick 12. Then all of a sudden he's back up to 40 points in this game. It's just unbelievable, man. What do you think about Devin Booker? We talk about him a lot.
I think, well, yeah. I mean, I wore my Devin Booker shirt. I think it was tag you're it. And that's what's fun about the Suns right now. Am I right? They're playing tag. Devin Booker, as you mentioned, goes for 52 points. And then it's like Kevin Durant's like, okay, I'll go get 40 and not go to the free throw line. And then I'll go for 43 and I'll hit a game winner, a double clutch game winner. And now Booker comes down and scores 46. And you know what Bradley Beal game is hiding in there somewhere. Or Bradley Beal's just completely content being like, yo, I'm going to go for a very quiet 20 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. But you're having this tag you're it. And it reminded me that once upon a time, think about how it once was Book goes boom. And even then we might not win the game. You know, thinking all the way back to Booker scored 70 points against the Celtics. Suns lose by 15 or whatever the final score was. But it used to be all Booker. And entering that fourth quarter, the Suns are somewhere during the third quarter, the Suns are up 21 points. KD only has 10 because Book's cooking. It's his turn to cook. And that's what makes this exciting, fun, everything that we talked about over the summer, when all the transactions occurred, when Bradley Beal came to the team, we're like, okay, I just can't wait to see a stretch where this team starts to put it together. And we're amidst that stretch. And you have to appreciate that because this is a tough road trip. The front end of this road trip's tough. We play in Indiana on Friday, but I'm pretty sure that's a game in which Indiana is not going to have Tyrese Halliburton again. He's going to be out again with the hamstring. Then we got a couple more, like Miami, Orlando. And then the back end of this road trip's real easy. But the Dallas one is one that really means a lot because of the standings and the way that everything kind of shapes out. And because of the rivalry week, the rivalry between Luka and Devin Booker. And Devin Booker on the road, again, 17 of 23 from the field. He was just hitting everything. High, low, transition. There's a transition 3 where he stops. He waits for the defender to go by him, and everything was pure. Minus 1 3-pointer. There's 1 3-pointer he shot where it's like, bounce, think about it, to go around the rim. And then Like until then, it was just a masterclass. And I'm becoming almost numb to that word, and I'm okay with this because I've been saying it over the last Kevin Durant. Like that was a great masterclass. Well, this was a mid-range masterclass from Devin Booker and a fantastic game overall. 46 points on 23 total shots. You have to love and appreciate that, especially being on the road against Dallas in front of those fans. Hearing those fans shut the fuck up, was beautiful. The sound of silence, my friend.
Yeah, the way the Mavs are too, when you get up on them like that and Book's just like going around screens, there's no one there. It's just that's the way the Mavs are. They give up so easily. And like even in subreddit, they talk about it. They're like, oh, here's that bipolar team. There they are. There they are. I didn't believe in them. And it's funny because I didn't believe in them either. Like in the past, like I would, like beginning of the season, of course, but even like last year, I'd be like, man, like there's no way the Suns can come back down 20 with Luka just cooking, right? He's going to finish them off. They're not going to have a game plan to stop him, but they make some adjustments. I mean, you can't really stop Luka. Make some adjustments, and they're back in it that quickly. It's so weird how things have changed where Vogel really, like, I know you're down by 16, you're down by 17, but you just wait for those adjustments to happen, and you wait for something little to spark them, like a Nurkic maybe pushing Allen Williams or whatever their fucking name is on the ground. Grant Williams.
That's what it is. That's what the Suns are doing right now. It's like, listen, we're losing. Okay, go get in a scuffle.
Exactly.
And the scuffle happens, and the Suns like,
it took a little bit longer this time.
It's like Mario eating the mushroom. They're like,
exactly, all of them, and it's the whole team, man. And then the Phoenix fans at home are actually standing up cheering. You know, they couldn't hear them.
You know what I did notice? The Dallas Arena, whatever it's called, the Who Gives a Fuck Center, doesn't pipe in the music like the Suns do. I heard
they got to stop. That's the one. You know, the Suns and 4 guy. I love that guy. I love everything about it. I still do. But the piped in noise has to go.
It's gotta go. It's gotta go. No, I'm with Saul in the chat. You know, again, we see the chat popping off. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. It says loved him showing up on national TV. I mean, so I was watching the broadcast on the local, the News Channel 3, Arizona's Family, and I popped over to ESPN right around the end of the third quarter, just to hear, and like all I hear is Doris Burke like making excuses for Luka Dončić, just feeling sorry for him, and then that's when Devin Booker did the whole like thing at the camera, which I was like, I caught that moment. I'm like, okay, I'm going back. Like the fourth quarter started, the Mavericks started on a 10-4 run. I just went right back to AZ Family 3. I'm like, okay, I'm headed back there.
Perfect timing. I didn't see that till after the game. That was great.
It was so good. But again, the way that you hit on something, and it's been quite some time since we've played this drop, but I think that it does bear a little celebration for the adjustments that Frank Vogel's made. That's the worst drop in the history of drops.
Oh my god.
It's been a while.
The backup singers just kills me. The backup John Voight singer just coming in.
Oh man. Metal Mike, who has a fork for my ears and eyes.
Yeah. Jeez.
But Frank Vogel, I think that, you know, again, it's something that the adjustments that have been made, obviously the players make on the court, but the coaching staff has to put them in a position to be successful. And we were on this podcast right around Christmas, right? Christmas was kind of the last straw. Now, granted, the Suns now are 13-3 since Christmas, since the great Christmas Day massacre at the hands of Luka Dončić, and when we gave up 50 to Luka Donkey, right? And we were questioning the ability for Frank Vogel to simply adjust, and it felt very Monty Williams-ish. It's like, why is he playing certain guys? This, that, the other. Over these runs, he has made micro adjustments, and the team has executed those adjustments. The 22-point comeback against the Kings, the 23-point point comeback against the Bulls, and the adjustment made tonight in that second quarter where the Suns in the first quarter pretty much said, you know what, we're going to try to focus in on Luka Dončić and take him away. And when they did that, they left the perimeter wide open. And the Mavericks went 7 of 9, or I'm sorry, I looked at the 7 of 10 from beyond the arc, 70% shooting in the first quarter, and 65%, 13 of 20 from the field. So they came out and really just worked the Suns by utilizing that perimeter. Well, the second quarter, things started to that those averages kind of came back down to earth. It's because the Suns, instead of dropping on screens, they put a Kogi primarily on Luka Dončić and had him play straight up and go, if Luka Dončić beats you, he beats you. But we're not going to give up so many wide open shots, especially corner shots to Tim Hardaway Jr. I remember that on Christmas. I'm like, don't leave Tim Hardaway Jr. open in the corner. The guy's going to fucking make it every time. That second quarter, the Mavericks go 4 of 12 from beyond the arc for 33%. The third quarter, holy Toledo, 2 of 12, 16.7%. And the fourth quarter is a little diluted because the backups came in. They went 4 of 9 from beyond the arc. But that's the adjustment. It was the perimeter, the focus on perimeter defense. And it's a challenge that the Suns have had early in the season, perimeter defense. And it's something that during this win streak has literally changed games because of their not only willingness to do it, but effectiveness in doing so.
Yeah, no, that's a great take. And I honestly think that maybe the Mavericks just missed shots. I don't know. I'm just kind of
That's part of it. That's definitely part of it.
They couldn't get hot. There were, some just missed shots there. But I think even extending KBD's minutes in the second quarter, where it's like, Udo came in for a little bit and then KBD was in there and he was still in there and he was still in there. It was like, you know what? That was kind of nice because the way that KBD was like to start when he first came in, he was just slumping shoulders.
Boneheaded.
I
tweeted it. I'm like, get that guy out of here, man.
Yeah,
KD was
in there. I feel like when he stayed in there, though, he kind of like picked himself back up a little bit. So I kind of like that. I like how Udo was just taking right out. But then J.O., obviously, him just making it more difficult on Luka. His type of game, kind of, man, just like because the Mavericks are big, they're kind of slower, and then like Kogi can kind of just be like that little pest just around them and making shit happen. So that's what happened, dude. And I think the big three, they started to take over. I know that Booker, obviously, like I mentioned before, started to get a little hot, but that defense just led a better offense, and that's their thing, dude. It's always them just being bigger than the other team in moments and just playing great defense. And it was good perimeter defense. It really was. But I'm always just so used to like when the Mavericks start out hot, they just finish the game that way, right? And they're still just making threes in our faces. But obviously that wasn't the case. So thank God.
Well, that's post-traumatic 2022 disorder. That's what that is, because that's what happened in that series. That's what's changed that series is those shots. Every one of them, like the you look at the statistics on what the Mavericks did from beyond the arc in those final 2 or 3 games against the Suns in the playoffs that year. And it was just unbelievable that it was that sustainable. It was Reggie Bullock hitting them. It was Dorian Finney-Smith, who I guess is going to be worth what, like 2 first-round picks? That's what the Nets want for him. It's like, it was 2 first-round picks. He's like 1 of 15 from beyond the arc in his last 3 games. It's like
Lakers will get him. Watch.
I can see that. The Lakers are definitely going to shake something up because the Lakers always shake something up, and somehow it works in their benefit because the rest of the league's like, listen, we'll bail you out, bro. Like, you give us just like a lunch pail, some Doritos in there, maybe a lemonade, not a tea. I don't want an Arnold Palmer. And we'll give you a guy who can help you in the playoffs. He's long, he's athletic, he's a wing,
I know.
And he'll have like 2 or 3 good games, and everyone will think that he's the next coming of Rui Hachimura. Remember that at the beginning of every season? The Lakers are going back to the NBA Finals,
the
Western Conference Finals, because they have Rui Hachimura. I'm like, do you guys hear the fucking words?
It's just crazy how those role players just always turn into superstars so quickly.
I do want to talk about KBD because you do bring up a good point.
You're down with KBD.
Yeah, you know me.
You're down with KBD.
Yeah, you know me.
Who's down with KBD?
Every last lady.
I do like that. In that drop, I've got him blocking Luka Dončić from the last time we played them.
Love it.
Bates-Diop, only 15 minutes played tonight, but he had 11 points and 2 rebounds and 1 assist. He was 5 of 7 from the field. And if you had asked me before I said those stats, what his stats were, I would have thought he had like 5 points maybe. I didn't realize he ended with 11. But it was his impact, and it's like you said, when he first came in the game, he was very stale. And I had tweeted out, I'm like, get this guy out of here. He's got 0 basketball IQ right now. He's turning the ball over. He's not getting back on defense. As you mentioned, Kevin Durant's yelling at him, which brings you back to when Devin Booker was yelling at Chimezie Metu for like not getting back on defense. And it's that semblance of accountability that Kevin Durant had on him. And that was kind of a turning moment, So he played a couple minutes in the first quarter, played a ton in that second quarter, 6:48. And then in the third quarter, he had another 3 minutes played. So that's how he got his 15 minutes. So 12 minutes in the first 3 quarters. The longer he was in, the more comfortable he got. And I just wish that we could have that. And that's why he's a role player. That's why he's on a veteran minimum deal. But you wish that he had that sense of comfortability when he entered a game instead of needing so much time to work himself into it. Because I haven't seen a player who looked unbelievably lost for the first 5 minutes that he played. And then the next 10 minutes, he was productive on offense, closing out on defense, and hitting his defensive switch rotations, which was vital to that perimeter defense that I mentioned earlier. It's the performance of Keita Bates-Diop who assisted in that, deterred some shots from beyond the arc, and just made it less available from beyond the arc for the opposing team. So that's where, kind of like when you don't want Watanabe, you want the same thing. You want him to get in there so he can kind of get a chance to get motored up. Keita Bates-Diop is getting a little bit more of a longer leash, if you will, and it paid off for the Suns tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think just the way he was so down, and guys like him, like they've had their promising little like stretches here or there to start the season, but I think he needs more time on the court. Like seeing it tonight, it was like the Suns could do it because of the comeback. Obviously, they let him stay in, but he needs to come in and be that spark right away. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe he needs a little bit more time to come in. But he has to, dude, like get to the rim. He has to do something, man. Be aggressive or something, man, because we've seen that. And I know I bring it up all the time, but it drives me fucking crazy. It's just the guy like that, dude, can get down on himself so quickly. And it's I don't know what it is. Maybe it is because you don't want to mess up and you don't want KD to yell at you. Maybe that's something. But you can just see it all over him, dude. So he needs to find some kind of like hype inside of him just to pump himself up, dude, before coming into games, because there's potential there. And it's just frustrating because you have guys like Yuta and Eubanks that come in and they're just, what the fuck, right? Eubanks, the 2 games ago, looked fucking great, right? Like he just had the 10 games and he had like 6 points in a minute or something.
Yeah, he changed the tide.
But it took freaking Drummond to like drive it out of him. It's like, no, just come in and be that guy. But I don't know what it is. I don't know how these guys get to that point because there is potential. I know they're probably going to make a trade. But there is potential with these guys. They just have to find that confidence. That's the frustrating part.
I know what the answer is, and I think it's simpler than we all think. They just need Yusuf Nurkic to walk up to them, kind of lower his eye, and just slap him across the face. Just they're like, oh, shit. It's like Fight Club. He doesn't tell anyone what he's doing, and he can't tell anyone that you're telling anyone what he's doing. And maybe that'll just get them engaged because Nurkic tonight looked like he was going to beat the shit out of some guys.
Delicious definition make them boys go crazy.
Oh. So remember that time, and I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it. Remember that time when like Devin Booker got fouled really hard and then like DeAndre Ayton came over and just like tripped over a player against the Lakers? Remember that? Who pushed him?
I do.
Probably
some guard. Wasn't it some guard?
It was
no one was scared of DA though.
Well, that's what it was. He ran over there, and once he ran over there, he didn't know what to do, and so he just kind of stopped. And then somebody pushed him. God, who was it? I know one of the Jamsters will remember. It was like Thanksgiving time.
Was it Patrick Beverly?
It was Pat Bev.
Yeah, it was right.
Yeah. And Crazy Luigi popped in the chat too. Patrick Beverly, yes. Mm-hmm. Tonight, Kevin Durant gets fouled by Grant Williams, right? And take you back to that Christmas massacre that was very unmerry, and he got into it with Booker. And so he gets into it a little bit with KD, and it wasn't really him getting into it, but he fouled KD. KD fell down, and Grant Williams is starting to walk over KD, looking the other way. He's like bitching to the ref, because that's what the Mavs do. He's bitching to the ref, and he's walking over KD. And the moment that happens, fucking Nurk comes and just shoves him. And I was just like, oh, yes, let's go, and then KD gets up and they're just talking shit to each other. A little bit later in the game, third quarter, I believe.
Yeah.
Nurkic backs down Grant Williams. Grant Williams flops. No call on that. Clearly flops. So Nurkic just lays it in, and then he kind of looks down at him, side eyes, like the same eyes I wanted him to look at right before he slaps KBD to get him engaged. And then he just kind of starts to walk away because he knows he's already got a tech due to the previous altercation, so he needs to walk away from it. And Grant Williams gets up and loses his fucking mind. He gets tossed from the game. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
It was the best. And the best part is like when he was looking at him on the ground, someone stepped in his way and he like turned his head.
Yeah, he's
he peeked his head around. He's like, "Hey, I'm still looking at you." I'm surprised he didn't get a tech after that.
I'm surprised
Is it
too.
too small. When he defended Kevin Durant right there, that's just take the repercussions. I don't care. Like, I love the shit that he does. Obviously, every time I have Suns Geek on the pod, we talk about how awesome he is on social media and just how good of a teammate he is, man. It's constant. It's on the court, it's off the court.
I feel like you're going to have something published on Brightside about this in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, just a little thing, just a recap. I put, Suns are on a 7-game win streak, and Nurkic is definitely my favorite Suns player right now, just all around. Like, obviously, I love KD, I love Booker, but all around, I love Nurk because he's been there the whole time, right? He's put up with everything. He's put in the hard work. He's gotten the Suns to this point, right? There was no question, really, since he started the season of him being our starting center, except for I did like Eubanks a little bit there. There was a little bit of a question for me, but mostly
I remember that 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know. I can't. Yeah. God, why do I do that stuff? But he's been very consistent. Obviously, I like to use that word. Everyone does, but he has been, and he hasn't been hurt, and I'll cross my fingers. But he's always stood up for his teammates, and that's always a big thing. Like, we have to have those guys. We have to have, like you said, the fuck shit up guys.
Yes.
Sometimes when he enters the game, to start the game against the Mavs, like teams do this all the time against them, where they just go at him at the rim and get these layups, these dunks, just hitting these shots in the paint all over Nurk. But it kind of subsides, and you're like, okay, like it's kind of like, well, how are we gonna start out games like this all the time with guys going to the paint and doing this shit? But he does so much other things on the court to really help his team out, and he's just been Nurk's a great connector center. Yeah, he is. And there was a question too on Twitter. Metal Mike said that. There's a question on Twitter about what's your favorite part about Nurk, and I put his passing. It just is, and that's the one thing he wanted to nail down with his team because he knows the stars around him. If he can just know their moves, know their like hesitations, whether they're going to go to the rim or not. If he can figure that out, he can definitely be the connector, and he has been.
John Tran loves fucking Yusuf Nurkic name.
The connector.
The connector. It's good. It's good, John.
That's really good. That's really good.
I appreciate that. Yeah, he very valuable to this team. I honestly think that he loves Kevin Durant. He truly does. Like, don't fuck with Kevin Durant, or Yusuf Nurkic is going to – he wears KD 16s all the time. Like, he wears Kevin Durant shoes when he's playing all the time. He loves Kevin Durant. Yusuf Nurkic is like me if I was like 7 feet in Bosnia and just be out there like fanboying over KD all the time, loving to have a front row seat to watching Kevin Durant just carve opposing teams up. And if you touch him, I'm going to fucking kill you. And like, that's what Nurkic did. It was fantastic. And I like what Sarah says in the chat. She's like, Nurk is a temperamental teenage boy. He needs to chill a little. Yeah, he needs to chill a little. But I do think that we need some of that edge. This is a finesse team. You look around, Devin Booker's finesse. Kevin Durant's clearly finesse. Bradley Beal has some physicality to him, but I prefer him being finesse because physicality can equate to him being hurt. So you need to have a little physicality to your game and to your roster, and Yusuf Nurkic brings that. You go down the stat line, 21 minutes played because he was in foul trouble. He had 8 points. He had 5 rebounds. He had 3 assists. He had 2 steals. I don't care. I don't look at the box score when I look at Nurkic. I'm not like it's not like 8 and watch for 5 fucking years that we did that. Where you're sitting,
be like this, and be like fucking 8 and watch. Here we go.
Oh, 8 and watch.
This is the way I would start it all the time.
Never
just like that.
He had like 20 rebounds in a game, and I came on the podcast and I had like a 5-minute rant about because we lost that game.
Did you see what he said?
The Mavericks. Oh God, yeah. What
then he put up like 18 and 17 tonight. But then it's like he did, but the thing is like he's never gonna keep that up, and that's the thing. That's what's so frustrating, right? Yeah. So he is something's wrong with the dude. But it's fine. He's living a good life.
For those who don't know, DeAndre said something along the lines like, I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I'm a max center. I'm going to continue to be a max center, which just isn't what you say, I guess. So just frustrated with him. But and obviously, whenever you talk Nurk, you're going to have that connection to Ayton on what we dealt with and what we felt with last year. And I love what Nurkic brings. And he got Grant Williams ejected. And here's the best part about getting Grant Williams ejected is Grant Williams is, as some people say, a fake tough guy, right? He reminds me kind of like a Dylan Brooks kind of guy. Mm-hmm. The difference between Dylan Brooks and Grant Williams is Grant Williams is tasked with guarding larger players like Nurkic. That's why on the flop play, he was on Nurkic. The challenge with a player like Grant Williams, like Dylan Brooks, like Patrick Beverley, the reason that I don't like those players is they're dangerous. And this was one of those games you could feel with the physicality was starting to happen, that if a player like him is allowed to stay in the game, he could hurt one of our players. I honestly believe that. Not intentionally, but he's going to do something dumb that's going to cause somebody to slip, and then, you lose X player for X amount of games. It's all because Grant Williams is being a jackass. What's funny about the Mavericks in this game, and I find it funny because as them being an opposing team, is they were trying so hard to get into the Suns' heads. The chirping, the bitching, the moaning. They tried so hard to get in the Suns' heads that they got in their own heads. And they completely took themselves out of it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And the best thing about the Suns team right now is, of course, they have the big three to back it up so they can talk shit. But they never go as far as like, we're going to lose the game because of this fuck up, right? Grant Williams, if I'm a Mavs fan, I'm like, dude, you got to chill out because you don't want to wake the beast. And that's what happened. And it keeps happening almost every other game with these guys, with these opponents. So keep doing it to the Suns, obviously. But I love how the Suns have control over just that craziness they have inside of them. They let it out a little bit, but then they can hold it back just enough to where they don't get ejected or change the course of the game. At least not yet. I know in the beginning of the season, it was a little fragile. You had to pull out the wins by 1 or 2 points. You didn't want to give them any techs or anything like that.
Yeah.
But now it's like, you can kind of be a little bit more free because we're winning games by 20 or 30 points now.
Yeah, it's nice. Unfortunately, there's a couple games in there where we have to come back all the way down from like 20 to 23, and I'm glad that we didn't have to go through that experience. I mean, granted, we were down 16 in the second quarter, as I mentioned, 8 minutes left in the second quarter, but much akin to yourself, I was like, yeah, I'm not worried about this because I know that Kevin Durant can go into assassin mode, and Devin Booker can score 52 points if you need him to, and Bradley Beal, and we haven't really talked about him, and we will right now, but Bradley Beal is going to do the Bradley Beal things that help you win basketball games. And I click the drop.
And she said, you're not the only one, but you're the best, Bradley.
Bradley Beal tonight, 36 minutes played, 8 of 15 from the field, 3 of 7 from beyond the arc, 20 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, a block, a steal, doing a lot of those little things as a tertiary player to help your team win. Now, granted, not necessarily what you would call quote unquote tertiary tonight. He had the second most points on the team. Kevin Durant only ended with 12, but he had 10 rebounds and 7 assists. But he's making winning plays. He's the one. Bradley Beal's got to love being on this team right now because, one, he is so wide open. How open has Bradley Beal been on some of these three-point attempts? And the lanes are so open for him because he's not initiating the offense. He is coming off of either a back screen or after the Suns have started an action and come off a screen, and then the defense decides to blitz that. He's the one who's going to get the ball one-on-one and just smoke a guy.
Yeah, and be aggressive. Be aggressive, all right? That's as good as I get right there. Yeah. You know what? Beal just needs to be more aggressive. If you didn't hear me before, he needs to be more aggressive. And I'll say it again. Okay. I'll say it over and over again. Because
should he be passive?
Never.
He should be aggressive.
Never pass up the open lane to a 3-point shooter, even if it's Grayson Allen. I don't care. You got to get hot. You got to start making your shots. There was in the first. He was open on the elbow, pass it out. Like, he's done this a few times where he grabs the board, the offensive rebound. He's wide open on front, unless he just can't make those shots. Right open next to the hoop, about 15 feet away, and he just passes it out. I'm like, dude, be aggressive, man, right? Be aggressive.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. We did get a Yuta Watanabe sighting. Utah. And I stopped it right there because that's how long he was in the game. He was...
It was bad too. I feel so bad. He was on the wrong side of the court. He
on defense.
No, on offense. Like he didn't know where to go. He set a screen for no reason.
Twice he got the ball and he could have just shot it. And he did the Damian Lee.
Yeah.
When Damian Lee lost confidence last year, instead of shooting wide open threes, he would start to drive and kick. He's like, I'll just drive and kick because I don't have confidence. And I saw that with Yuta. And sham it too. And I was just like, John Tran, Yuta the whatever. He ended with a total of 7 minutes, but some of that was in trash time. He played 3 minutes and 21 seconds of actual play out there, was a -7. 0 points, 0 assists, 0 rebounds in that initial time that he played out there. You know, he did end with 2 points. I did miss the 2 points that Yuta Watanabe made, but I just wanted to say, and I'm with Crazy Luigi in here. I wish he would gain his confidence back. Like, Yuta Watanabe is one of those things that we were so excited for in this offseason. As we start to talk about the trade deadline and some of the things that the team needs to address, having somebody like Yuta Watanabe be productive to come out and just go I don't care if he goes 2 of 4, 2 of 5 from beyond the arc, but hit those 2 3-pointers. That's big. Those are big points coming off the bench. And his confidence is gone, as is his ability to know where the fuck he's supposed to be on the court.
Yeah, you just need a little bit from him, not too much. We're not asking too much. And the driving kick thing, like he had a wide open lane to someone was on him on his side, but it was a better shot to take towards the rim.
Yes.
But he kicked it back out to Eubanks for a corner 3.
Yeah.
You know, Eubanks did that one game where he took away from Grayson Allen when Grayson Allen was going to have 10.
I know.
But still, it's like those are the ways to gain confidence to get to the rim. Just listen to EJ. EJ says it all the time. Get to the rim. Young guns.
Come on, you little whippersnappers. You were hanging out in Dallas tonight, weren't you?
I was.
Oh, this has got to be interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, the subreddit stakeout. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
Shit. Hold on. Okay, I'm ready to go, dude.
What was the delay?
My lighting, dude.
Yeah, I saw your lighting kind of flicker. Cool.
Yeah. So I got the strobe light going on. I don't know if you can even see it at all. And I was thinking, I'm like, I'm Elvis and you get to be Batman. Like, how did that happen? So
I don't. Yeah, we gave up on just doing disguises.
No,
we just picked a character and we go. Somebody
it's cheaper.
Somebody in the comments on YouTube is like, you should just do a whole fucking show as.
I know.
Out, you know?
Dude, yeah. Well, the Batman obviously is fucking great. Like I if I miss a pod, that's the one thing I go back and watch for sure.
Well, Lazy Squatch in the chat says, I hope Matthew puts a little effort in this.
Oh, well, I wish I could. I don't know. It's kind of hard. I'm all over the place when I talk like this. I always sound like Dolly Parton or somebody. I don't know.
Well, that's the best when you do the Elvis into Dolly. But tell us, Dallas, you're out there in Texas. What was going on in Texas tonight?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what I was gonna do for effect was just have some music in the background, like the just some. All right, anyways.
Well, Luka, let's see here. They do have background music.
Do they? Oh yeah, they do. Huh?
Oh, here's one. Check this out.
All right. Fucking Boyd, dude.
That's Boyd. That's Boyd, ladies and gentlemen. In case you don't know,
I'm all like, oh, I can't wait. So you just do that the whole time? Just keep doing farts?
There you go. There's some background music.
Yeah, I guess that kind of fits. Luka fucking hates the Suns. Ha ha ha. So this is all in the beginning, right? Luka fucking hates the Suns. Yuta just trying to do his job and got assigned to Luka. Yuta was guarding Luka, dude. Yuta guarding Luka, laughed my ass off. Just chains of that going down. Just what is going on? For 3 minutes, he was in the game guarding Luka. Poor KD, lol. Suns outside of him are completely shook. Yeah, they were, and I did come back to bite them.
Yeah.
Luka just casually chatting with the ref on the final possession of the first half.
Oh, he was just casually chatting? He was casually chatting so much that he got a fucking technical, and the second half started with Devin Booker making a technical free throw. That's how much casual chatting Luka was doing with the fucking referees at halftime. Do you think that Luka at halftime, instead of going in and hanging out with his team, he goes into the refs' locker room?
Mm-hmm.
He like hangs out at a chair in there.
Oh yeah.
And then the rest of his team looks around. They go, "Where is he?"
Yeah, I can already see you, dude. Griffey Crawley, where is she? Where is she? Yeah, that sounded kind of weird. All right, let's get through this, guys. DJJ is trolling. Sit his ass. Yep. How the fuck did these idiots not secure the ball? God damn, I hate this mid team. And I like that one because the Mavericks are a mid team. They just definitely are. And that's what sucks to be a Mavericks fan. There's a pants shitting team that I know. Oh, wait. No, hold on. Let me say that. There's the I can't say pants shitting. There's the pants shitting team I know. And that's all I had, dude. I'm really sorry. I should have had more. This was.
I thought there'd be some shit talking going on. So let's
There
just
probably
crank it up.
was, but then honestly, like I started to do that article and I was watching, taking notes, and then I just kind of forgot about subreddit. So there you go. Next week, Batman. Our next game, Batman.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. Anything else that you had in your notes, Matthew?
Let me take a quick look, actually.
Oh,
No, and I always think about that every time you're gonna ask. I'm like, I bet you I have this. Nope, Grayson Allen shit, but we talk
so
about that
here's
all the
one
time.
thing I noticed before we go to Jamstar, talk about the next game, and I want to talk just briefly about Miles Brifges because that's setting the fucking world on fire. Much smarter on outlet passes. This is something that I noted probably about 10 to 12 games ago, where the Suns were turning the ball over with regularity, and a big part of it is teams that started to scout them and say, hey, after they throw the ball in, they instantly throw it to somebody else, and if you just hang back, you can jump passes. And there's about 4, and it happened against the Mavericks. When we played the Mavericks, I distinctly remember them doing just that, getting free points off just mundane, lazy passes. And there's about 3 or 4 times tonight where I saw the Mavs trying that, and like they do it when like the Suns would inbound the ball to Josh Okogie, and then Josh Okogie would turn, and then he would try to throw it to KD. And here he'd pump fake, and then they would jump it, and then he'd pass over them, and then like start the possession faster. So I just wanted to note that because I thought that was a great adjustment, again, that Frank Vogel's made to say, hey, guys, stop being so predictable in the way that you just simply inbound the ball. So that's the only other thing I had in my notes.
Okay, that's good. I was reading the comments.
Oh.
0 effort from Lazy Squatch.
Oh,
mid effort tonight. So there was no effort before Batman, I don't think, but I have to live up to it.
sorry.
Jam star of the game.
All right, Jamsters, a reminder, subscribe, rate, and review. As our good buddy the Suns Geek says, Hulk, smash that like button. And let us know in the chat who your Jam Star of the game is. I think it's your turn to go first. So
I'm going to do Devin Booker.
I think I'm going to put Booger as well.
Let's do Booger.
Yeah, it's definitely Booger. 46 points tonight, 23 fucking shots. I mean, I'll be surprised if I read anything different. Let's see. Lazy Squatch says, don't feel bad, Matthew. So there you go.
Too
Crazy
late.
Luigi, easily too late. Matthew's going to have to talk about it to his therapist. He's like, I'm being bullied
Well, he's
online
Batman.
into doing Elvis impressions.
What am I supposed to be, Superman or something? That's not fun.
Yeah, Superman doesn't have a
Fucking over,
voice.
dude. Well, Jamsters, you guys can say it. Just, do you want John to do subreddit all the time?
No,
I'm
because then I have to do
I'm just
subreddit all the
joking, dude.
time. It's nice to watch a game and not have to like scroll through their subreddit and see the
I know.
toxicness that
I'm
lives
kidding.
on there. Crazy Luigi,
Joking,
easily
Jamsters.
Devin, Nathaniel, Doris. I haven't seen you in a while, Nathaniel. Or maybe I just haven't noticed you. Book it. 1 BDB from Saul. Luka Dončić's father from Hunt Start 05. John Tran says, Booker is my jam star. Big Nurk, honorable mention for bringing the energy and stopping the Mavs bullshit. Maya, shout out to Maya, giving up to D-Book tonight. D-Book, only him from David Ray. Nurkic from Coda Kid. Grant Williams from Plays Megatron. I like that. Refs, also from Nathaniel. Lazy Squatch gives it to Booker. Book from Lee. Beal was a download star from Pedro. Luka's ankle from Metal Mike. Big Dong Devin from CL Oracle. Enormous penis Booker from Metals. What have we done here? So yeah, clearly it's Devin Booker. So just a reminder to Creepy Crawly that yes, we are live, because he's asking in the chat if he said, hang on, are we live? Because those Aussies never know if they're live or not. So how are we supposed to know? So yeah, it's Devin Booker easily. Next up for the Suns, as I mentioned before, they're playing the Indiana Pacers, a team. Oh, and real quick, I do want to say that this win is big because had the Suns lost this game, they're tied in the standings with the Mavs. They win this game, they're now 2 games ahead of them. The Suns are in 5th place, 26-18, tied with the Pelicans. Then the Sacramento Kings are 24-18, and then the Mavs are now 24-20 and have lost 3 and I think 4 of their last 6. So Next up is the Indiana Pacers. Okay, a team that the Phoenix Suns just saw, a team that, like the Mavericks are now, are 24-20, and will be without Tyrese Halliburton. A team that is athletic and is going to try to run. I mean, it's a team that scores, and even without Tyrese Halliburton, I think with Tyrese Halliburton, this team scores like 126 points. Without him, it's like 116. They're still going to try to put up points, so they are going to test you. So, thoughts on that game? Starts, I believe, at 5:00 Arizona time on Friday. Get out of work early that day.
Yeah, I know, right? Miss the first half. Yeah. Well, maybe it'll be a good day and everyone gets out early. We'll see. Yeah, it sucks. Tyrese is.
I go in early.
Oh, see, yeah, I go in late and stay later. So,
No,
well, I go in
early.
at 9. Yeah.
Suns
bench
revenge game.
Yeah, well, no, the Suns bench. Just show them who's actually the best bench in the NBA.
Yeah.
Don't let it be the Pacers. Let it be the Suns. Don't score 0 points. Don't play 16 minutes to score 0 points.
Yeah.
Get some points from the bench.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's get 50. Let's get 50 fucking points.
That'd be fucking great. Have that team go out there and show them what's up. Hoping for a win. Expecting to win. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing I want to talk about. We got about 4 minutes left on the pod. Miles Brifges. So obviously the Suns, their name has been linked to Miles Brifges a ton. Charlotte Hornets. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, Miles Brifges is the guy who national TV announcers were calling Mikal Bridges for his first 3 years of his career. They're like, oh, Devin Booker passes Miles Brifges. And it's like, no, it's fucking Mikal. And now we hear Bridges being linked to the Suns once again. And there's a lot of feelings that are out there in the Twitter sphere and world. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens, because Miles Brifges making, I think, $7.4 million. He's an unrestricted free agent. The Hornets signed him to a 1-year deal after he was suspended all of one season after an altercation with his girlfriend. He's 3 years of probation. He's got a court date coming up on the 20th. I mean, there's just bad news written all over this guy from a personal standpoint. Yeah. From a basketball standpoint, he's kind of exactly what the Suns could utilize when we talk about an athletic wing. I still think a point guard would serve us best, but there's not a lot out there on the market. He's averaging 20.9 points. He's averaging 7 rebounds. He's 6'7". He's a high energy guy, maybe a little too high energy. He fucking punches people or whatnot. Throws fucking, what did I read? One of the reports is he was throwing shit at somebody's car, pool balls at somebody's car. I mean, the guy's just. But as Crazy Luigi says in the chat, he's a Michigan State Spartan, which is where Matt Ishbia is an alum from. So, what are your thoughts on Miles Brifges?
I don't know. It sucks because I think he'd be a good fit. Do you want to Jerry Jones it? Just sign these players that beat everybody up off the court? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. He is still in the league. He has to play for a team. Will it be Phoenix? Probably. I don't think it. The thing is, I don't think it. The fans, of course, it would be bad.
Yes.
The players, the chemistry, all that, it wouldn't disrupt it. I don't think. But it would be a bad look for the Suns, obviously. But other than that, I think the players, everything would mesh really well.
It's tough because obviously domestic violence is somebody that no one condones.
Yeah.
Very to this day, I was talking to one of my buddies probably about a month and a half ago, and we're talking about the top 5 point guards in all-time history of the Phoenix Suns. And Jason Kidd's low on my list. And he's like, well, why? I'm like, he's like, he was really good here. I'm like, well, he wasn't here a long time. He was good here, but he punched his wife, man. I just can't condone that stuff. So personally, that knocks them down a peg in my book. But from a basketball standpoint, and here's the other side of this, right? I'm not the judge and the jury. There's 3 sides to every story, right? There's his side, there's his woman's side, and there's the truth. And we have processes that are designed to analyze those things and find what the truth is, and then provide justice based on what the truth is in the eyes of the law. And if he goes through that due process and he served his time for the crime, and the NBA suspended him entire season for it as they were investigating it, who am I to sit there and be like, well, his morality, maybe he did learn. I can't, from a person to person level, I can't sit there and truly understand and judge what he did, because I wasn't there. I don't know. I know as much as everybody who's watching this podcast or listening to it or reading Bright Side or things of that nature. I know that those kind of players typically I don't like. The ones who have the off the court issues just as a personal level. But if this is purely a basketball decision, it's a no-brainer to get him. It goes back to like the Barry Bonds things, right? Like everyone's like, Barry Bonds is an asshole. I'm like, yeah, but that guy fucking got the best eye I've ever seen in baseball. And I don't watch him to see what kind of human being he is. I sit there and I watch and I pay to see his baseball skills. The same thing with basketball. So it's kind of this moral dilemma where a lot of people are really kind of panting their foot in the ground. It's like, well, a signing of Miles Brifges says you condone domestic violence. And I just don't know if it's that clear of an issue. So, whatever you're feeling about it as a listener, that's right. That's whatever you're feeling is the right answer. Because that's what you feel and that's what your reality is. The Suns, they're going to do what they're going to do. And you got to determine, like, if you feel that bringing Miles Brifges here is something that is going to affect your fandom, then, I mean, that's the right decision for you. And just know that it's not going to be the right decision for all.
Yeah, I know. It's always a tough thing to talk about.
It is.
I honestly think, I'm
here to talk about Booker's dick, not like.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Let's get straight to the point. Let's see it. I think that. God, one day we'll see it.
Shut up.
Oh, sorry, we're over an hour. So, no, I was just gonna say really quick though. I think the signing, if it were to happen, obviously he's the best player for the cheapest price. I feel like, you know what I mean. So obviously, any contending team wants to get him. So, I mean, do you want another team to get him that we're gonna contend against?
I'll tell you what, he'll be a Laker if we don't get him.
Yeah. So if you look at it that way, it'd be tough. But I don't even know what to say about this.
I'll say,
win a championship, Suns.
I'll say,
I don't know.
So hey, look, so says Jay says, well said though. And I hope you're talking to me because he's a lawyer, so he gets it. It's a tough subject. Real quick, Joey says in the chat, Darth Lowry. I don't think the Suns can get Lowry. I think he wakes up.
Lowry?
Yeah, he got traded to the Hornets in the Terry Rozier trade. And if they waive him, he becomes available. True. But he makes more than the 12.4 league average. And seeing as we're a second apron team, we can't sign buyout guys over 12.4. That's one of the kickers of being a second apron team. So that being said, if Miles Brifges happens, it happens. And from there, we watch, we wait, we react, and then we carry on, because ultimately, no matter what your personal feelings are, you're not going to have anything to do with what that final decision is. You just have to accept it, whether you like it or not. And I, again, from a basketball sense, I think it makes sense. From a personal sense, the guy's kind of a piece of shit. So I don't know where to end on that one. But I will end the podcast saying,
are we through that yet?
Yeah, we're done. We just had to put it out there.
I'll give you my true feelings after the pod. I'm just kidding.
Okay. I'll make sure that we're still recording. I'll tell you that we stopped.
Yeah.
But that being said, Jamsters, Suns win, fucking smacking the Mavs. It's a good night. It's a great night. We all feel good. So go to bed feeling good. Or if you're hearing about this tomorrow, wake up and make it a great day. Subscribe, rate, review. We'll be here Friday early, seeing as it is, that's the nice thing about those East Coast games, man. Like, we're done at 8 o'clock our time.
Love it.
Tell everyone what they need to do.
Go home and love your family, please.
Let's go.
Where is she? Oh, there she is.
Sound like a shitty pirate. Doing Batman. Like a nerdy pirate talk.
Well, let me tell you what I really think about